sun, and they had to build, and the speed had to be increased where they can, when they do the slingshot effect, where they go back in time at that speed.
Well, the area of Star Trek where that would actually fit more is if you remember with
With the sun.
no, the last one with Picard in it, where he actually was caught in that loop with what's his face, the British guy. You remember that where he was in that time loop and he couldn't get out of it. Picard was.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, okay. It's just the line, uh, the line where that guy killed that, blew up the sun, and where,
Yes,
okay, yeah,
that would be more of what we're talking about here.
okay,
You would land in a newly created universe B.
yeah, where you don't never die and you never get old.
Right. Whereas you would have a universe A and then a universe B, and the loop is
Whatever you make of it.
yeah. So I mean that's actually kind of interesting. That's something that I've been actually kind of going into and checking out too myself. So pretty good.
Well, military guy from the year 2030. What specific things is in his time that
Well, he warned that the United States would split into five distinct factions, followed by a period of intense internal conflict and election related friction. While his specific timeline of a 2004 civil war failed, modern analysts frequently revisit his post. Now, believers argue his description of extreme political polarization, cultural division, and distrust in the federal institution accurately mirror the modern geopolitical landscape. So you have that going on right there. He was wrong about the date, but like when it comes to what's going on today, with politics and things like that, that kind of gets a lot of people today thinking about that. So that's something that was in 2000, and he said that there was going to be a civil war in 2004, which wasn't true. But then when they look at a lot of the things that are taking place now, they're saying maybe he was off on the date. So that was the first one, and they called that the internal fractured warning. And then there was the South Fork Bridge hipster, and that's a visual warning, which was in 1941. A genuine photograph from 1941 documented the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in British Columbia, Canada, and it features an unexpected individual. Now, standing among men in traditional 1940 suits and fedoras is a young man wearing modern logo printed sportswear, advanced sunglasses, and holding a compact camera. Believers view this as a deliberate visual warning of a coming shift towards casual consumer culture and miniaturized technology. Skeptics note that while rare, all items he wore were technically available in 1941. After that, we come to Andrew Carlson's market prediction anomaly in 2003, where in 2003 the FBI reportedly detained a man named Andrew Carlson after he turned an initial $800 investment into over $350 million in just 2 weeks via high risk stock trades. Now, during the interrogation, Carlson reportedly claimed he was from the year 2256, and he warned authorities that the global financial market was highly volatile, but entirely predictable if one possessed future historical data. Carlson mysteriously skipped his bail hearing and disappeared completely. And the story remains a foundational internet legend regarding the vulnerability of modern economic infrastructure. And then the fourth one is Sergei Ponomarenko's Cityscape Records, which was in 2006, where in 2006 a confused young man in mid 20th century clothing wandered the streets of Kiev, Ukraine, carrying a vintage camera and an identity card used by the Soviet Union in the 1950s. Ponomarenko claimed he took a photo of an unidentified flying object in 1958 and instantly woke up decades in the future. He warned that the world would look radically different, unrecognizable, and heavily monitored. And experts developed his vintage film revealing pristine 1950 photos of Kiev alongside an impossible photograph of a futuristic cityscape that he claimed was taken during a brief accidental skip to the year 2050. And then, of course, you have the Charlie Chaplin Premier cell phone, which occurred in 1928, supposedly. And that's behind the scene footage from the 1928 premiere of Charlie Chaplin's film The Circus, which revealed a woman walking past the camera holding a small object to her ear. And the woman appears to be actively speaking into a compact, rectangular handheld device, a behavior entirely alien to the 1920s. Now, theorists cite that this is proof of early testing for mobile communication networks, or a warning of a future reliant on handheld devices. Now, historians counter that she was likely using a newly invented bulky carbon amplifier hearing aid. And this next one is interesting. It's the 1938 DuPont factory communication device, which is from 1938. Archival film footage from 1938 shows a group of young women leaving a DuPont industrial factory in Massachusetts. One woman in the center of the frame laughs and speaks directly into a small wireless device held flush against her cheek, mirroring modern smartphone usage. Decades later, a user claimed the woman was her grandmother, and she verified that DuPont was actively testing experimental short-range wireless radio telephones at that exact facility, validating the technology's early existence. So that was kind of interesting. So after that, you have the 1917 Cape Scott Hipster, which is in 1917, and the historical photograph. It was a historical photograph taken at Cape Scott in British Columbia which shows a group of people sitting on a hill, but one individual disrupts the timeline. Now, while everyone else is wearing heavy coats, bowler hats, and formal dresses, this young man sits in an oversized t-shirt and shorts, sporting a modern, messy hairstyle. He looks so out of place that the people sitting next to him appear to be staring at him in confusion. So the image serves basically as an eerie warning of how radically social norms in attire would shift over the next century, according to what's being said there. Now, on the eighth one, it's Paul Helton's photographic timeline. That's 1857 to modern. And that's an internet user known as Von Helton shared a series of historical photographs spanning from 1857 through the world wars into the 21st century. Now, the photographs depict the exact same man without a single sign of aging across more than 150 years. Von Helton used these images to warn that elite figures possess temporal manipulation technology. Now, while most analysts attribute the photos to doppelgangers, facial structure matches, and photographic coincidences, the eerie precision of the physical similarities continue to fuel online debate. Now, the ninth one is the 1943 Cape Cod Beach mobile device, which was in 1943. A photograph taken on a crowded beach in Cape Cod, Massachusetts in 1943 shows hundreds of sunbathers, but the center of the image focuses on a single man. The man dressed in a brown suit stands completely still while hunched over a small object in his hands, using his thumbs in a manner identical to texting messages. Now, believers argue it is a stark warning regarding humanity's future obsession with personal screens. Skeptics suggest he was simply rolling a cigarette or winding a pocket watch. And the final one is the air raid warden paradox in 1941. Now, the footage from a 1941 documentary about the London Blitz briefly captured an air raid warden assisting citizens into a bomb shelter. The warden appears to be making a subtle, distinct hand gesture, tapping his wrist as if pointing to a digital smartwatch to check the time long before digital displays existed. This anomaly is frequently cited by enthusiasts as a classic slip where a traveler instinctively checks a piece of future technology that wasn't supposed to be there, warning of our eventual total reliance on wearable tech. And that's the 10 of those chronophiles, time travelers warning that left the internet unsettled.
When was it that Russia sent Sputnik out? What year was that?
When did Sputnik launch?
Yeah, it was long.
I believe Sputnik, October the 4th, 1957.